My relief valve is now set. Now I have two jump lines attacking the fire. The third line that the commander is asking me for is going to be an exposure line. It's going to be 400 feet of 2.5 inch with an Elkhart 250, which I know is 160 psi. So I'm going to need 160 psi of engine pressure to supply that line. This is set at 116 now, so I need to bump it up to 160. So each half turn is 10 psi. So I say 120, 130, 140, 150, 160, 170, and I like to take it one more, 180, so I know that it's not going to open as I raise my engine pressure. Now as I do this, I want to make sure that I don't over-pressurize these two lines. So I'm going to take a little pressure off of each one. And then I'm going to charge let's take a look here. I think it's a left rear discharge. Okay, need to confirm that the gate is open and which discharge we're using, which is the driver's side rear. Take a look, driver's rear discharge. I open this and I have to start flowing water. Now look, all right. I open this line fully, my exposure line. This is the one I need to be at 160. Okay, so I want to make sure that I gate these down a little bit, take a little bit off each one of these, and I'm going to raise my engine pressure, and I'm watching to make sure I don't over pressurize these two lines as I go up and pressure on this line. So I'm at 125 here now. So I'm going to gate this down a little bit more as I raise engine pressure. Okay, I'm now at 160 on my exposure line. I'm gated down the line and 102 on this line. Now I want to come back. Once everything is stable, I want to reset my relief valve. So I knock it off a half a turn. Relief valve opens. I go 1, 2 turns. It should close at 160 psi. Now my highest pressure line is protected by the relief valve. The other lines are protected by being gated down. Okay, welcome back. The previous segment, you saw what was a simulated live fire evolution with the recruits pulling the jump lines, and it was somewhat hectic, similar to a real fire scene. Now I want to slow everything down and go over each part, piece by piece, to make sure that it's perfectly clear about what it is that you should be doing when operating a truck. So we'll step over to the truck here. It's in pump gear. We're going to pump off the tank. We're going to pump one jump line. Then we're going to set the relief valve. Then we'll be going up to a higher pressure line, resetting the relief valve, and then we'll go to the highest pressure line and reset the relief valve for a third time. And we'll talk about several things, probably repetitive from what you saw last time, but it never hurts to hear it twice. So here we go. All right, the truck's in pump gear. I have my tank to pump open, and you can see that the pump is generating about 30 psi at idle. I turn my relief valve on, and now I'm going to raise the throttle, bring it up to my engine pressure for my number one jump line that's going to be off my front discharge. Now I know that on this truck I carry 200 feet upon conquest with an Elkhart 125/75, so I know that the pressure for that is going to be 102 psi. Fire ground calculations, 100 psi is fine. You're going to get that much vibration on the needle of the gauge anyway, so 100 psi to this line. I'm going to raise my engine throttle until my pump pressure reaches 100. Gradually bring it up. Okay, I now have 100 pounds of pressure available to supply whatever line I want to open. This one, I make sure that the hose bed is clear and they're calling to charge the line. When I get a hold of this, I want to get right in front of it and pull it straight out towards me in a controlled manner, slowly. You want to prevent water hammering. comes up to about 80 psi. Now, I only have 80 psi leaving the truck. This is what indicates what's leaving the truck. This is actually going to the hose line. So I'm going to have to raise my engine pressure to get 100 psi going out of the truck. So I bump my engine pressure up and I watch my discharge gauge and I get it up to 100. Okay? I check the fire line, make sure there's no kinks in it. I confirm that there's water flow. And now I'm going to set my relief valve. The relief valve, it's closed right now, so I want to find out where it's set. So I'm going to back it off counterclockwise a half a turn at a time until the relief valve opens. Okay, the relief valve is now open. And you can see the engine pressure went down. It's relieving pressure from the discharge side of the pump back to the intake side. But I want to make sure that it's closed so that it'll protect that hand line against any further pressure surges. I'm going to close it a half a turn, another half a turn, and the relief valve closes. Okay, now I'm set. I have 120 pounds here. I have 100 pounds leaving the truck. This line is now protected. Great. Okay, we have one jump line flowing. We've set the relief valve at about 100, 102 psi, and we're pumping off the tank. Remember, that's 125 gallons per minute nozzle, so you don't have much time before your water supply is depleted. So if you've got a working fire, you need to secure a water source as soon as possible. Now I'm going to demonstrate a water supply being laid to the truck and charged, and we're going to make a transition from the tank to the pressurized water source. What you need to be careful about in this scenario is that incoming water supply pressure, because sometimes you may get a driver at the other end who bumps it up to 100 psi. You might have 100 psi coming into the truck. It's important that you control that pressure and don't let it get transmitted to that jump line that you're flowing. Remember, you have people at the end of that jump line. That relief valve is there to protect those people against pressure surges, but you as a driver engineer also play a critical role in controlling that pressure as well. So let's step over to the truck and I'll demonstrate that. Okay, right now we're flowing our first jump line. We're watching the water slowly going down, right? Command has asked for another line. We're going to be going off the driver's rear discharge. I need to be very aware that when I open that second jump line, the rate of water discharge is going to be very rapid. So I'm going to need that water supply right away. Okay, I just got a radio communication. They're charging my 5-inch line, so I now have water available. Now I'm going to make the transition from my tank over to my supply line. But when I open this, I need to be very careful that that incoming pressure doesn't surge over here. You'll notice when I open it, my relief valve will open. As soon as that opens, I need to lower my engine throttle and make sure that my 100 psi is not exceeded by the incoming pressure. I've got 50 pounds coming in for my supply line. So I lower the throttle until I have 100 here and my relief valve resets. Do not make the mistake of trying to crank up the relief valve without managing the incoming water pressure. If you do, eventually you'll take it up so high it'll close. That excessive pressure will be transmitted right to that jump line, which is what we want to avoid. Use the throttle to control your engine pressure output for your discharge. Remember, your discharge pressure is the critical pressure because that's what's leaving the truck. That's what's actually being applied to the fire line where your people are.